January 11, 1879. A British officer handed King Cetshwayo an ultimatum with impossible demands. He had 30 days to comply. The officer knew he wouldn't. This wasn't diplomacy. This was a declaration of war designed to look like peace, and it would lead to one of the most shocking military disasters in British history. The Zulu Kingdom in 1879 was powerful, 40,000 warriors, disciplined, battle-hardened. King Cetshwayo had built a nation that controlled modern-day KwaZulu-Natal. Britain didn't care. Sir Henry Bartle Frere, the British High Commissioner, wanted to confederate South Africa under British control. The independent Zulu Kingdom stood in his way, so he manufactured a crisis. He demanded Cetshwayo disband his entire army within 30 days, accept a British resident, pay impossible fines for border incidents. Frere knew these terms were insulting, unacceptable. Cetshwayo was no fool. He'd maintained peace with Britain for years. He sent messengers trying to negotiate. Frere ignored them. On January 11th, the ultimatum expired. Lord Chelmsford, commander of British forces, invaded with 15,000 men in 3 separate columns. He expected an easy victory. 6 weeks, maybe less. The Zulus, he believed, were just another primitive enemy with spears. January 22, 1879. Chelmsford sent a column camped at the base of a sphinx-shaped mountain called Isandlwana. 1,800 men, modern Martini Henry breech-loading rifles, artillery. The technological advantage was overwhelming, but Chelmsford made catastrophic mistakes. He divided his force, taking half his troops to chase what he thought was the main Zulu army. He left the camp unfortified, no defensive perimeter, no laager of wagons, just tents on open ground. His officers protested. Chelmsford dismissed them. Meanwhile, a British patrol stumbled upon something terrifying in a hidden valley. 20,000 Zulu warriors sitting in complete silence. The main impi, they'd been there for hours, waiting for the ritual time to attack. The warriors rose as one. They moved in the horns of the buffalo formation. The chest would pin the enemy. The horns would encircle, the loins would finish them. Back at camp, soldiers saw a dark line spreading across the hills. At first, they thought it was herds of cattle. Then the line began to run. The battle began at noon. British rifles fired in volleys. Zulus fell by the hundreds, but they kept coming. The Martini Henry rifles generated intense heat. They jammed. Worse, the ammunition boxes required screwdrivers to open. Precious seconds wasted while warriors closed the distance. The Zulu left horn swept around the British flank. The right horn cut off the escape route. The camp was surrounded. Lieutenant Oakneth Melville grabbed the Queen's color, the regiment's sacred flag, and tried to escape on horseback. He made it to the Buffalo River before being killed. His body was found days later, still clutching the flag. By 3 p.m., it was over. 1,300 British and colonial troops dead. Every tent destroyed. Ammunition captured. The Zulus had achieved the impossible. They'd annihilated a modern European army. Only 55 Europeans survived, but the same day produced a different story. 11 miles away sat Rorke's Drift, a small mission station converted into a supply depot. 139 British soldiers. Most were sick or injured. At 4:30 p.m., survivors from Isandlwana arrived with terrifying news. 4,000 Zulu warriors were coming. Lieutenant John Chard of the Royal Engineers took command. They had minutes to prepare. Using mealie bags and biscuit boxes, they built a perimeter, barricades 4 feet high. A tiny fortress. The Zulus attacked at dusk, wave after wave. They set the hospital on fire. British soldiers fought room to room, breaking through walls to evacuate the sick. Private Henry Hook carried patients on his back while fighting off attackers with his bayonet. The battle lasted 12 hours. Through the night, the Zulus charged. The British fired until their rifle barrels glowed red. At dawn, the Zulus withdrew. They'd lost 400 men. The British lost 17. 11 Victoria Crosses were awarded, the most ever for a single action. Britain was shocked, humiliated. They sent massive reinforcements. Lord Chelmsford wanted to redeem himself before he was replaced. He marched on Ulandi, the Zulu capital, with 5,000 men. This time, he was cautious. He formed a giant infantry square, artillery and Gatling guns at the corners, an unbreakable formation. July 4, 1879, the final battle. 12,000 Zulu warriors charged with extraordinary courage. The same tactics that won at Isandlwana, but disciplined rifle fire shredded their ranks. The Gatling guns never stopped. They couldn't break the square. After 30 minutes, the Zulu army retreated. 1,500 dead. The British lost 13 men. Chelmsford burned Ulandi to ashes. King Cetshwayo fled into the wilderness. Cetshwayo was captured on August 28 and exiled to Cape Town. His kingdom was deliberately broken into 13 rival chiefdoms. In 1882, he traveled to London and met Queen Victoria. She was impressed by his dignity and intelligence. He was allowed to return to Zululand, but as a puppet king with no real power. He died in 1884, possibly poisoned, a king without a kingdom. The Anglo-Zulu War lasted only 6 months, but it shattered myths on both sides. The British learned that technology without tactics is worthless. The Zulus learned that courage without modern weapons has limits. Isandlwana remains the British Army's worst defeat against an indigenous force. Rorke's Drift became legend. But here's the final irony. Britain destroyed the Zulu kingdom not to protect its people, but to control gold and diamonds. Cetshwayo never wanted war. He was forced into it by an empire that couldn't tolerate an independent African nation. Sometimes the greatest warriors lose not on the battlefield, but in the treaty room. The Zulu kingdom fell not because its spears were weak, but because empires don't negotiate. They conquer.